Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
7:14 now. As the school year is now underway, many counties are still dealing with shortages, teacher shortages and bus driver shortages. Anne Arundel County is feeling that pinch. Jessica Haire is a Republican candidate looking to unseat County Executive Stuart Pittman in the upcoming election. She's joining us this morning with her plans to address those issues. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Of course, we thank you for coming in. So in your campaign ads and in your literature, you say we need better local leadership. It matters. How would a change in leadership make a difference in what these schools are facing?
Well, you know, the past couple of weeks, I've heard from hundreds of parents, social media, email, phone calls, texts, that these hardships with the school buses are really harming their families. We have kids on overcrowded buses standing in the aisles. It's not safe. We have families who've been stranded at the bus stop. And really, the current county executive has just kind of thrown up his hands and said, I can't solve it. Parents, good luck. You know, we need someone who's going to roll up their sleeves and actually solve these problems. And so that's the change I bring to the table.
And so what's the solution? How would you put more bus drivers out there? How would you put more teachers in the classroom?
That's a great question. So when I start with any problem, you know, I look at what are the levers we can pull. When it comes to the buses in particular, we're talking about both how many students need to ride a bus and also how many bus drivers we have. So I think there's a number of creative solutions that we can look at. And actually, it's probably going to be a combination of solutions that really close this gap. Let's start with, on the first side, offering financial incentives to parents who may be able to carpool. That might lessen the burden on the school bus system itself by taking out some kids who maybe would otherwise carpool. On the driver side, there's a number of things we can do to expand the pool of potential drivers. Let's consider vans and shorter routes instead of the school buses. That might help expand the number of drivers who could drive vans instead of the school buses because it's different licensing. Let's look at partnering with our local community college to offer free and expedited training in a CDL license for folks who would guarantee a certain amount of time driving buses for Anne Arundel County students. Let's partner with our church and faith-based institutions who have drivers and buses there. We might be able to expand our pool there. Let's look at our procurement and make sure that we are allowing our smaller companies, smaller bus companies who might only be able to drive 1 or 2 routes, give them the opportunity to bid these jobs because every little bit will help.
What about...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about in the classroom? Because you've got the bus driver shortage, you've also got the teacher shortage. You need more teachers in the classroom. And then when it comes to some of the teachers that have been hired, contractors this year that were hired, brought in at $100,000 when teachers are saying, we make far less than that. We're talking about the special education teachers. And now they feel slighted. So a lot of emotion around this topic.
I know, and so much of it comes down to planning. Look, we're in year 2 now of both teacher shortages and driver shortages. So 2 years that the current county executive has had the opportunity, had the chance to bring stakeholders to the table and say, let's come up with a way to solve this, and that hasn't happened. We need to find a way. Again, look at those levers. How can we expand our pool of teachers? How can we keep the teachers we have? And you know, I've heard a lot of it is about respect. A lot of it is about accountability. All of these things that we need to be able to really focus on. And we need a leader who's willing to sit people down and say, tell me 1,000 ways we can't do it. I will find a way to make it work.
You've been on the county council since 2018. What do you point to as ways that you've helped make a difference for the schools and for the quality of life for those in Anne Arundel County?
Sure. When it comes to some of the shortages right now, specifically, actually, the council just passed by a supermajority vote a few months ago a request to delay the change in start times. The change in start times has really kind of exacerbated some of the shortages that we're seeing. And we heard from parents especially and from the police department that there aren't enough crossing guards, there aren't enough school bus drivers, and we said, you know what, we need more runway for this. Let's go ahead and delay that. So we did ask the school board to take that step. They did not respond to our request to do that, but we did vote on a supermajority vote to go ahead and do that. We've also looked individually. Anytime I get a student or a parent that reaches out, I've partnered with the Board of Education to try and find a way to help them with, parking's a big issue now because we don't have enough buses. Too many students are driving to school and now there's no parking. So I've been partnering with the school board for individual families to try and make that happen as well.
A lot of issues there. We appreciate your time coming in, talking about how you would address them.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, it is coming